I'm Nancy. Welcome to the Better and Faster, Happier podcast. We talk about organizational design and actually trying to make sense of this complicated game. And today on the podcast, I've got Claire Donald, who is the VP of Engineering at MOO. And I'm super excited for her to introduce herself to you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Claire. I'm talking to you from MOO today. So I've been at MOO for 18 months and I'm really looking forward to being asked some questions.
So I met Claire, I think about almost like a year and a bit ago at it was a Silicon Roundabout careers fair. And I was like, who's this cool woman with like her hair? And you were just like standing there. And I was like, and I remember when I was working, my boss was like, don't go to MOO because I want you to stay. So I'm really happy that like a year later we were able to connect. So it was faith. But Claire, I really want to ask you, when I say better, faster, happier organizations, what comes to mind for you?
I think of companies that are always striving to be better, and companies that have people within them as well that are always striving to do things in a better way. You know, thinking about what better means both for them as employees and and for their customers as well. Doing it in the right way is quite important as well. You know, it's not just about being. I think the faster part of that can be a bit of a rabbit hole. You know, it's not always about just doing things faster.
Yeah,
and doing it right is just as important.
Absolutely. So I'm curious from moos.com, from a MOO perspective, is that you guys are quite big. How do you stay in touch with your customer?
We have a really good research team. We do lots of focus groups and lots and lots of customer research. And we're constantly trying to think about, what our next segment is. We've had done a lot of work on our company strategy this year, which has involved a lot of research on looking at different problems that some of our customers have. Yeah. And different problems in the marketplace. Thinking about how we can launch different products and services to meet some of those needs. Yeah. So quite an evolving space.
I actually really love that you're actually trying to figure out problems to solve. And actually, take me back to when you said the rabbit hole that a lot of companies fall into when it comes to faster. Can you kind of give more kind of thoughts around that?
Yeah. We're well known for our business cards and our printed products right now. We do very well as a business for it. We could be more efficient at doing that, and I'm sure we will continue to get better. But it's just being more efficient producing business cards and other printed products might mean that they're completely missing the trick on looking at other products and other things that we could serve the market on. So going back and thinking more about the problem and the why and what our customers are actually trying to do might serve up new opportunities for us to exploit. Yeah. If we were just obsessed with going faster and increasing our velocity, we might not open our eyes up to it enough.
So business cards, which paper, print, digital world, everything is digital these days. How are you guys finding that transition? Is there a transition?
Yeah, exactly. We actually embrace the fact that in a digital world, people want beautiful physical things. So which is why we're more in the upper end of the market. We're a premium brand. Yeah. And we're happy to play in that space. Because in the modern world, when everything is digital, the things that you touch and that you hand over to someone to represent you need to be breathtaking. They need to have that wow factor. And that's where MOO's trying to play.
I never thought about it from that perspective. So we were actually talking earlier and you mentioned safer. And that stood out to me because usually when I say better, faster, happier, we just kind of limit the conversation to these three things. But I never thought about safer. So can you tell me a bit more what you were thinking when you mentioned that word?
Yeah, and maybe it's my background in the public sector. I automatically think about being safe and secure as well. But I actually think in the context of what we're talking about now, I was thinking a different angle. And it being about, about the employees and about for the people that work at a company. You still have to look after the people in the company as well. And sort of working everybody so hard that they completely burn out and are not happy is not the right way. Not the right way to do things. And I think you've also got a safer angle from the commercials of the business. It's all fine and well going after big revenue targets, but if you're not profitable as a company, then you're not growing in the right way either. Yeah. So when I think about the word safer, for me represents all of those things. Sort of safe and secure from a security perspective, treating your people right, and growing a company in a sustainable way.
So I like to think that from a kind of financial revenue perspective, we've got things like our cash flow or revenue flow to look at. But the conversation starts to become a bit difficult when it comes to people. And I guess, what are the kind of things that you can look out from your experience when it comes to data that allows us to understand if a team or a group of people are essentially at flight risk in terms of they're burning out and we're pushing them too far? Because I don't think that's something, what tends to happen is that people experience the burnout and then we're like, oh crap, we shouldn't have done that. We shouldn't have pushed them, bashed our heads about velocity. So I don't know if there are kind of red signals and red flags that alarm us before these things may happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to say that I've got some amazing database here that does some trend analysis and does the pre-warnings, but no, I'm afraid not. But the way we handle that as MOO is people having lots of people to talk with. Our product development teams all have access to a coach. And they all have access to an engineering manager as well. So they all talk regularly about all sorts of different aspects, and they've got a wide support network right inside their team to be talking through when they've got any issues or problems. And hopefully most of that is nipping things in the bud. Yeah. But we have a really great people team here as well. So many different avenues for people to get support. For example, this year we've done some training on mental health first aid. So
lovely.
There's more than 10 people being trained as mental health first aiders just in the Farringdon office alone. So there's lots of different places for people to lean on if they're not comfortable speaking to the manager. They've got a coach or they've got the people team, and mental health first aiders.
Would these people be embedded in the squads, or are these like how?
They're different people throughout the organisation. So I think there's more than 10 of them in this building of 250 people.
You know what I love about that? It's kind of consciously decoupling certain roles. What I mean with that is it is hard to tell your manager, I'm having a pretty shitty time, especially when you may work in an environment where that directly impacts your performance. Yeah. And then it's hard to talk to your product manager who basically wants you to get stuff done. So I think it's great to have that objective person. So now off the topic of Safer, I wanted to kind of pick your brains around how the hell do you make sense of this Spotify model monster that is taking a lot of companies by storm, but it's actually creating a lot of pain than good in terms of how we structure people. So how are squads structured at MOO, and how do you make sense of this chapter squads and guilds stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this at a couple of conferences this year and I've blogged about it as well. MOO started off using the Spotify model a couple of years back, for perfectly sensible reasons. I think it was a good starting point for us. When we were primarily project based, so it helped us move to be a more product based organisation and give a sense of ownership to crews. We never got around to calling them squads, crews and tribes to own their services. But over time, we're sort of 2 or 3 years in now. I don't think we've rigidly stuck to the approach. I think we've naturally started tweaking things, evolving as we go along. What feels right for MOO. And I wouldn't say it's been a failure, but I think there are parts that certainly didn't work for us. Us having a monolithic architecture meant that there was tension points between the Spotify model and what we were even able to do. Yeah. I think the Spotify model assumes that you've got teams that are autonomous and a microservices based architecture. Where each team can autonomously own each of their services. And MOO's a 12-year-old company. It's got some tech debt. We're working our way through it. But each team does not own 100% independent autonomous services. And for us to release our monolith, it requires input from 8 different crews. So that within itself sort of took away some of the benefits that are described by the Spotify model. I don't think a lot of companies, because I speak to other people that are using the Spotify model, think about the sort of technical enablers that are required to make that type of setup work. It's most definitely not a process thing. You need other things.
It's a setup thing as well.
Yeah. So we were just thinking about lots of different ways how we evolve what we got. Right now actually. I haven't got any magical answer just yet.
No, actually,
but we're actively thinking about how we evolve things.
Actually, what I love about everything you've described so far is that there is certain prerequisites required before you consider doing certain things. Do you have the right setup? And I don't think we often think about it. It's like all of these, even Scrum and Kanban from an agile perspective, all of these ideas and methods, they all have prerequisites. And I think if you're not clear about the prerequisites, you tend to bang your head against the wall wondering why it's not working.
Yeah, it's not working. I mean, MOO did think a lot about some of these things.
Yeah.
I mean, there was definitely things that we implemented before we put in the Spotify model. I mean, agile coaches weren't even a thing until this happened. You implemented a role of a technical product owner as well.
Yeah.
We introduced the role of an engineering manager in a more dominant way. So, we did think about lots of different things. And we did think about the architecture as well.
Yeah.
But I think some of the combination of all of these things as you go along doesn't always pan out the way that you think about it up front.
It's like a complicated puzzle, trying to like piece the puzzle piece it together.
Exactly, it's just that it's a complex problem. It's not something you can define up front and say, right, off you pop.
Yeah.
And that's we're thinking through some principles right now actually around how we might organise ourselves going forward, and that's one of the key ones. Assume change.
Ooh, organisational design.
Yeah. Which itself sounds a bit sort of solid, doesn't it? But we're all working on the assumption that it'll be more organic. The business evolves and changed. Our world is volatile. And how we organise ourselves needs to be able to evolve and adapt at the same sort of pace as a business. And if we're being too rigid in our thinking, or if the way that we're organised is holding the business up, then we've not done something right.
Absolutely. Oh, great. So I am also curious about hearing recent success stories when it comes to this grandiose mission of being better, faster, happier, and in your case, safer. So what are kind of some of the wins that you guys have experienced?
When I was thinking about this talk earlier, I was trying to think about a big example, and I thought, you know what? I think for me, we do lots of small things.
Sustainable, love that.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the little things actually have quite a big impact. This year, rather than doing our bi-yearly engagement survey, which is a more sort of traditional thing, your big questionnaire, 60 questions, and we reanalyse it all. We've moved to a model where we're doing a pulse survey, like an NPS on a monthly basis, and doing lighter weight surveys every quarter. The results of that aren't conclusive yet, but it means that on a very frequent basis, we're getting just a pulse of what the feel is on the organisation, and whether some of the things that we've been doing off the back of the bigger surveys are actually having an impact. And I think it just gives an opportunity for the whole company to, there's only 2 questions in these pulse things.
Okay.
Yeah, they're really fast and quick for people to get to have a say. And I think, in general, over the last year, we've done a lot on improving our two-way communications. We've been doing things like having electronic, anonymous, if need be, Q&A answers after our all hands event. We've went through phases of the exec stood there taking questions, drop-in surveys, lunches. There's always more we can do on that front. But I feel like we've made a much bigger effort to try and improve two-way communications between the leadership team and the general people in the company. So and those things have quite a big impact on certainly on the happier piece and better, because the more the general employee at MOO can understand about where the company's heading and where we're trying to get to, the better they can make decisions on their day-to-day work by themselves.
Absolutely. And I love the way how, in some to a certain degree, you treat your employees as your customers. So the same way how you're constantly trying to learn about your customers, I think we should do the same thing about employees as well. And I think that's what the survey might actually help us out with. I actually remember when there was a company I was working for, and this big survey thing came out, and it took about 45 minutes to complete just one survey. And we then had several all hands afterwards, and people were like, where's the data? Where's the data? Where's the data? So it took them about 7 months to get the data, analyze it, and present it back. And
then it's time for the next survey.
Oh, by that time, it was like, so we are going to do some initiatives around the top 3 problems. And everyone's like, yeah, okay, cool. And then I think about a month after, so this is month 8 into sending out the test, analyzing the test, and presenting it back. And someone said at the all hand, do we know what the initiatives are? Oh, we're just going to have to spend the next few months planning what those initiatives are. And guess what? By the time the initiatives were launched, we were doing our next survey. You would call a team of researchers or UX designers pretty incompetent if they were to engage so little with their customers. I think you can apply a similar principle to employees. To employees. At least that's my kind of perspective on it.
So we're trying to think of another couple of examples of the, our guilds are thriving. I think we have, none of them are mandatory. They're all optional. They spin up and they spin down pretty frequently. We have everything from movie club to beer nerds to, your sort of agile DevOps.
Yeah.
In fact, one that's been quite, a new one that's just started actually was around tech KPIs, which started as a little working group off the back of us thinking earlier in the year about what metrics we wanted to track. And we've been inspired by what we read about in Accelerate. So, there's been a little self-organising task force this year of implemented all of that. And I'm slowly but surely automating some of the statistics. And that's now at the stage where, that this task force have disbanded and, it's spread across the teams and they're now a guild.
Yeah.
There are people that are really passionate about improving what we've got and increasing the quality of the data and making sure we've got accurate targets. They're self-organised themselves, and that's been handled as a guild.
It's actually making me think. So I've often, when I've been in environments and guilds were introduced, they were more of a formal structure. We are working. It felt like you were just doing work.
Yeah. We're normally quite implicit actually that guilds can have ideas, but they're not delivery vehicles. It doesn't mean you've got your own mandate to go off and do whatever you want. Yes, you've got ideas, but there are ways that you need to interface with the rest of the company to get your ideas your ideas supported.
I think you hit the nail on the hammer. They're not delivery vehicles.
No, essentially they're projects.
They're places where people can come and share their passion, and if they want to do something off the back of their passion, then
they can.
Then they can.
And I'm not saying all of our guilds are successful, but that's guilds.
But I think I think if you get that straight, because I won't name the name of the company, but I was working at a company and guilds essentially became project teams. And what ended up happening is you had members in squads who were like, oh, I just can't do that work because I'm actually going to do some guild stuff. And that took up 80% of their time. And I remember the product owner being a bit confused because they were like, this guild stuff is meant to be a hobby place, right? I'm really confused. And to be honest, I caught up with someone from that same company and he's like, yeah, we're still dealing with the same problem.
Oh, well. And the work that comes out of our guilds, it isn't hidden. If there's work that needs to happen, then it's discussing with product managers and teams around how we prioritise and fit it in.
But then you're fitting it back into your delivery model. It spins off and becomes its own monster.
No.
Cool. Awesome. So I'm actually quite transparent about my failures on social media because I think we should do more of that. So I'm curious from your perspective, what are some of the things that probably didn't go as well or as planned when it comes to better, faster, happier organizations or even a better and faster, happier MOO? And what did you guys learn from that?
From me personally or from MOO? I fail all the time. I do. I'm quite honest and open to feedback as well. If I think back to some of my earlier years, I've never always been into agile. I've got a back history of being a project manager and a program manager. When I think back to some of the things that I've done, say, 10 years ago of absolutely driving through people to get a project delivered and getting a thing done and me being like really, really proud of myself at the end of it.
I got shit done.
Yeah, exactly. And then, then I've got this one project in my mind right now where I didn't even care about the people involved. It was just sort of like, I've got that done.
Yeah.
And there was the blaze of people behind me I didn't even care, which is terrible to think about now because I think I'm a completely different person nowadays.
Yeah.
I care about I'm a manager of people. I genuinely care about every single one of them. And I would never do something like that nowadays. And I can sort of remember the point where things turned as well. I was working on this particular project where I'd been sort of chucked in at the deep end. Somebody had left. I was a contractor at the time.
Yeah.
You just get chucked in at the deep end. Yeah. Milestone to deliver in 6 weeks' time.
Yeah.
And it was a really big, complex program, actually. It wasn't even just a project. About 100 people, multiple suppliers. And we've got this delivery deadline in 6 weeks' time. And I'm just sort of like, I can wrap my head around all that in a tiny, tiny amount of time. I'm just going to have to trust these people. And some of them were suppliers and they had contracts, but I was just like, got them together and I was like, right, you just need to tell me what to do. And it's like, you're not going to tell us what to do? I was like, well, no, I don't have a clue what to do, to be perfectly honest. So what can I do to help you be better at your job?
And
they were a bit taken aback by that, because, my predecessor was a bit more command and control.
Yeah.
And, all of a sudden, here's me asking their opinion. And they're sort of like, the contract says. And I'm just like, you know what, let me worry about the contract. Tell me, how do we get this shit done?
Yeah.
And I think that without me even realising it, that was me starting to become more of a servant leader and getting into this agile.
That's really funny,
agile stuff.
Because I was just about to ask you, what was your transition like from a project manager to this agile person? And I think that
was the start of it. Yeah, I mean, and I think it's the same sort of. It was the sort of the trigger moment, and from then, I'm sort of hearing from the team that are working with me around all these impediments in our environment, and I'm a problem solver at heart, and I couldn't help but want to solve some of them, and as you're going through this, you get more feedback as an individual, and I got a lot of feedback around. I'm a very passionate person. And sometimes that passion bubbles over. I'm Scottish as well. Sometimes I can come across a little bit aggressive. So you get me passionate about something and loud, and I'm throwing my arms up around in there. Sometimes I don't listen.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of getting all this different feedback, and I'm like, all right, I need to do something about it. And I thought, I'm getting all this feedback about not listening well enough. So go off researching different ways to improve your listening skills, and this is how I got into coaching. Coaching was like the starting point of learning how to listen better, learning more about asking different types of questions, which then led into facilitation. And that sort of took me right the way down into the agile coaching path.
It looks like it took you through like an inward transformation of life.
It did. I can remember the first session that I facilitated, and I had expertise on the topic that we were talking about as well. And and I really, really did have an opinion, and I really, really struggled to contain myself, even now, despite having years of practice on doing facilitation. So I'm focusing on the session that designed and prepared. I'm taking them through the session, and you know what? We got to the end, and the team came to a conclusion. I think it was a little bit different to what I was envisaging, but it was a good, solid answer. They were all happy with it, and it stuck because they came up with it themselves. And I was just like, oh, this was like a massive realization for me. I was like, I don't need to know the answer. It doesn't matter if I don't know the answer. In fact, it's almost better if I don't know the answer. Just helping get a team through, talking through a problem themselves and coming up with a solution is massively powerful. That was like another turning moment for me. I then felt like I didn't need to know the answer to everything. I don't have to always be the expert. Knowing how to get and extract the expertise from others is a skill within itself.
Absolutely.
I arguably draw upon my facilitation skills more than my coaching skills, to be honest. I'm not a natural coach. I'm not gonna lie. I do more team coaching than I do personal coaching. It's not my forte. I have to really stop and think about it.
Yeah. No, it's funny you say, because I had breakfast with a friend of mine about 2 weeks ago, and we were just talking. And I was very fixed that I'm a coach because that's what my title says. And he's like, no, you're just fucking great at facilitating. And I'm like, what you mean? He's like, when I'm confused, I come to you because I need you to help me facilitate.
Yeah, to get it out.
To get it out. That's what I come to you for. And I'm like, oh, okay, I did not know that.
Yeah.
So it resonates a lot with what it is you're describing to me. And I wish there were more people in leadership positions who recognize that their job is to really facilitate and extract knowledge from other people and not necessarily be the one with all of the answers. But
I've come full circle now. I've just been promoted to VP engineering.
Congrats!
Thank you. And MOO is now drawing upon some of my experience as a manager, some of my technical background, and all of the skills that I've learned along the way around agile coaching and facilitation are making me a better manager and a leader.
Just makes you a better human.
Exactly, makes you a better human. And I really believe that's the future. Having managers who are leaders that can coach.
Oh, that touches my heart. So we're also, something I'm curious about as well is what's one area that you guys are quite keen to improve on in the next 6 months to a year?
Tackling or moving on from some of our tech debt in a different way.
Tech debt.
Yeah, tech debt. Yeah, exactly. The big thing that is, we've been chipping away at it for quite some time. Gradually re-architecting and refactoring our code base and building out microservices as we go along. which, has worked to a certain extent, but it's taken a long time. So really we need to rethink how we're doing that and think about how we create a step change. So no solutions just yet, but that's going to be part of my new role is to consider that one.
What's your thought on the whole 80-20 or, I don't know, thing? So 80% features and 20% bugs. I don't know it's necessarily the same as actually addressing tech debt.
No, it's not. We talk a bit here around like BAU and lights on, and less like a rigid split or different people doing different things. But it's just an acknowledgement that it takes time and effort to run what you've currently got. And for a monolithic application that's got a lot of tech debt in it, it does take quite a lot of time and effort just to maintain and sustain and keep the lights on. And our the growth of the company relies on that right now. It takes up a significant amount of effort, and if you ignore it even more, then it just breaks. So I think we acknowledge that type of work is important, and we try not to because I don't think we've necessarily got it all right. Try not to over-profile any sort of investment, new feature work on top. So I don't think we get it perfect, but we don't compromise on the lights on stuff. We have to be able to run the business. And if all we're doing is building new features, then we wouldn't be sustaining things either.
I think it's
another part of Safer.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good thing that at least you're talking about it, because I've come from environments where I was working with this group of developers, and they're like, Nancy, let's go for coffee. Okay, what's happening?
What's up?
And they're like, I'll be really honest with you. The reason why our tickets take forever to deliver, we purposely leave them in progress. And I'm like, why? So that we can address some of the tech debt stuff that we're just basically told not to. So we have it as our Trojan horse. And we say, yeah, we're working on it. It's been built. It can go out tomorrow. I just don't want it to go because I need to fix certain things. And they're like, we've been doing this for about 6 months. And this is why when people come to our team and they're like, your velocity, your cycle time, we are choosing to
hide
the actual work that we're doing that no one sees. Because everyone is fascinated by the new features, but no one actually knows that if we don't fix X, Y, and Z today, tomorrow we'll have big problems with our application. And it's such a shame because I'm sure there are tons of developers and engineers out there who can resonate with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky problem. And I don't think we've nailed it either. I mean, a recent example, we've just implemented a tracing tool to help us with observability. And that required some effort from all the teams to integrate with. Not a huge amount of effort, but effort all the same. And that's effort that wasn't necessarily planned in. We had to justify a little bit of why it was important. But, we spent a bit of time explaining to the product managers of what it was for and how useful it would be when we had an incident. And exactly, and people get it a little bit more. But yes, it's always hard to sort of strike the right balance between technical work and feature work and getting everyone on the same page. We encourage our tech leads and our engineering managers to, almost lobby the product manager. And it's a healthy tension.
It's a healthy
exactly.
Tension is healthy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Healthy tension. And if the product manager doesn't get it or doesn't understand the value, it's part of their job to help them understand.
Yeah.
Because collectively they're planning the work for the team. The team are involved in that as well.
Yeah.
So it's part of the product manager's role to consider the whole stack of the application, not just the features that sit on the top. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So we're getting to an end, but before I let anyone go, I always ask them, what's a book that you're currently reading that you say like everyone needs to touch it, or at least not touch it, but everyone should read it like right now. Like if you don't do it, you're on my blacklist.
So I've just started reading a book called Team Topologies, which has just come out, which is really, really interesting. It talks about 4 different types of team and 3 different interaction models. And I think it's timely for me. One, the book's really good. But as we are starting to think about how we evolve our org design and whether Spotify's right or not for us, there's some real good tangible concepts in there for us to think about and potentially apply.
Nice.
Check it out.
So Claire's looking for people to read the book with her. So I'll use this as an opportunity to get the book, reach out to Claire on LinkedIn. I'll make sure her link is in the description box, and just send her a message. I'm sure she'd be happy
I'd love to talk to you about team topologies if anyone would like to
have a buddy. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this 30-minute chat with Claire and myself. I actually learned a lot, and my brain is probably not going to rest after this conversation. So guys, that's it. Thank you very much for dialing in. This was Better, Faster, and Happier with Nancy. As always, if you're new, welcome to the club. And if you're an oldie but goodie, thank you so much for not getting sick of my voice. My family members will probably say something different. But yeah, just subscribe if you're new to Spotify or Pippa. And we'll see you around for the next episode. Bye.
That's great. Thank you. Bye.